is Lori Noreen Vallow not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan, of Joshua Jackson Vallow, of Tammy Daybell? Answer, guilty.
In May 2023, Lori Vallow Daybell was found guilty by an Idaho jury for the murders of her children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, and conspiring to kill her husband's first wife, Tammy.
Chad, call me. I'm going to tell you what you fixing to get, boy.
I think the evidence is stronger against him.
Lori was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Husband Chad faces the death penalty if he's convicted.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? What happened to Tammy, Chad?
Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell were married to other people when they met at a spiritual conference and began an affair in 2018.
No, she was into him. She was way into Chad. She was infatuated with him, big time.
By the end of 2019, her husband and his wife were both dead. Her kids were missing, they were married, and their friends were concerned.
I was wondering, where are you guys?
We're just hanging out.
That was the perfect storm when she met Chad.
Tylee and JJ's remains were found 6 months later, buried in the backyard of Chad's home.
Chad Daybell was taken into custody and booked into the Fremont County Jail.
Prosecutors had planned to try the cases together, but when Chad waived his right to a speedy trial, Lori's case went first.
This was all a plan. Like I said at the beginning, a plan for them to be together without obstacles. And those obstacles are Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, and their spouses, Charles Vallow and Tammy Daybell.
During her trial, the state claimed that Lori was the mastermind behind the murders and manipulated Chad through emotional and sexual control. Her defense argues that Chad was the mastermind.
Is Lori a leader or is she a follower of Chad? She so wants to be a leader, but she's not leading anyone. She's following Chad.
Chad Daybell didn't testify at Lori's murder trial, and his defense is expected to blame her as he faces the death penalty.
I can just about guarantee everybody right now, Chad's attorneys are going to throw her under, not a bus, but a steamroller.
Here we go, folks. This trial is happening. It's a death penalty case. Chad Daybell, the so-called, Doomsday leader of this alleged cult, right? Was he the leader or was Lori the leader? What was going on here in this relationship as it relates to these murders? So the question is he going to point the finger at his wife, Lori, and her crazy brother, Alex, her violent brother, Alex? Is that what Chad Daybell's defense is going to be? And the relationship between Lori and Alex, bizarre. Take a listen to Alex's ex-wife.
There was a lot of inappropriate sexual touching and things going on in the family, particularly between him and his sister.
So between Alex and Lori?
And Lori.
Okay, you kind of got me at a loss on this one. What do you consider inappropriate sexual touching?
Like they were simulating sex acts, and which is not normal to me for a brother and a sister. For example, he would pick her up and she'd wrap her legs around his waist and he would kind of bounce her up and down on himself.
Okay.
In front of me, and they would moan and simulate sex acts. And I have brothers, and I would never act like that with one of my brothers.
Okay.
And his mom and dad talked about their sex life in front of us constantly, and it just kind of seeed to be a game for them.
Oh, the mom and dad didn't really object to it then, huh?
No, not at all. All of this was going on in the family, in front of everybody. They had no shame.
Wow. here we go. April 1st. I'm not tricking you here. April 1st, jury selection begins. Idaho versus the so-called Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell. Ann Bremner, Rick King, Michael Sterling, our think tank. Rick, is that what we expect? A trial that is going to be about putting Lori and her brother Alex on trial and point the finger at them, and they're the ones driving all of this?
I mean, I really can't see any other way, especially based on the fact that Alex is deceased. So I think you have the empty chair defense, and then you also have the ability to point at Lori. I mean, and she's already been found guilty, so it isn't as if he's telling the jury something they're not going to know. I mean, she's already guilty. He's going to put it out there. He's going to say it was all her, and it was Alex. And they have the Alex's phone located near the area when this thing took place. So there's a lot of information pointing at Alex that they can move forward with, and especially Lori. So I think that, I mean, that's the obvious move to do.
So, Michael, do you have to paint a picture of a very bizarre brother-sister relationship to try to sell to the jury that these two are so way out there, their conduct is bizarre, and they're the ones doing all this, and poor Doomsday Prophet, he was kind of like just a victim of these two as well?
I think it certainly supplements the defense, right? So I think you use some of the prosecution's argument, and the defense has an obligation to do this. This isn't just something they're doing gratuitously, right? They have an obligation to raise every possibility of reasonable doubt, to give the jury a reason to doubt, right? And so I think to the extent that she had this bizarre relationship with her brother who's no longer here, and that there might have been some inappropriate contact between them, and he was willing to do anything for her, and all of these things, so the fact that in the previous case against Lori, the prosecution called her the mastermind, painted her as the mastermind, said that she was the leader of this. All of those facts, every little piece of fact you can string together to raise some circumstantial evidence or some specter of doubt, and provide the jury with a reason that they can articulate doubt that Chad should be convicted of the murder and sentenced to death. They have an obligation to bring all of those facts forward, Vinny.
And Bremner, I expect a much different trial than Lori's, because Lori, she just sat there. And there was no fight in her. The attorneys tried, as best they could, but it's like she didn't care. She didn't care. I think Chad cares. I don't think Chad wants to be locked up. I think Chad wants out of prison.
Yeah, and he definitely doesn't want the death penalty. I mean, he's kind of like this, Pillsbury doughboy that ended up with a head cheerleader kind of guy. I mean, you kind of look at him and think, those two don't even go together. And then you've got the bizarre things between, her and her brother. And he kind of looks a little innocent in a lot of ways. Like he's like a prophet saying, I'm just another kind of simp that was led astray by, an evil woman, and I need to get out of this. I mean, I'm going through
He doesn't
right
look
now.
innocent there, though, right? His wife is dead, and a couple of weeks later, he's hanging out with the blonde with the bikini poolside down in Kauai with a bag of money from the insurance. So I'm sure that'll be a part of the case.